The air buzzed with laughter and chatter as people filled the small cafe. Friends greeted each other with warm hugs, and you could hear soft music playing in the background. In the middle of this friendly scene sat Jonathan, feeling completely out of place. All around him, people were smiling and engaging in lively conversations. They seemed to know each other well, sharing funny stories and inside jokes. Jonathan, however, sat alone at a corner table, staring into his cup of coffee. He wanted to be part of the fun, but he felt too shy to join in. It was not that he didn't like being around people. It was just that he struggled to start a conversation. As he watched groups of friends talk and laugh, the pressure in the room increased. Jonathan could feel his heart start to race. It felt like everyone knew how to make friends, while he had no idea where to begin. He saw a few people glance his way. This made him feel even more anxious. What would they think of him? Would they find him strange for sitting alone? A deep sense of isolation began to creep in. What if he tried to speak and nobody wanted to talk back? The room felt warm, yet Jonathan felt cold and distant. The voices around him faded, and all he heard were thoughts about how he looked and how others perceived him. This feeling of pressure is something many people know too well. Whether at a work event where everyone seems to be getting along or a family gathering where relatives are catching up, social situations can be tough. They reveal a common struggle that many experience. It is not easy to walk into a room and feel instantly at ease. Jonathan's experience in the cafe highlights how many people can struggle with social confidence. Feelings of anxiety often accompany social events, especially in new settings. When everyone else is laughing and connecting, those who feel shy or uncertain often drown in their own thoughts. Key feelings of self-doubt can emerge. People ask themselves why they are not as confident. They start to compare themselves to others, questioning if they are interesting enough or if they will say the wrong thing. This situation shows how easy it is to let fear stop you from making new connections. In today's world, we all face moments like Jonathan's, where the pressure to fit in can be overwhelming. It can be in a cozy cafe or a bustling party. The struggle exists everywhere. Realizing that it is a common experience brings some comfort. Most individuals have struggled to connect at some point in their lives. These moments create a bridge for understanding, allowing us to empathize with one another. Jonathan's challenge mirrors what many people face. Everyone desires acceptance and friendship, but often feels unsure about how to go for it. The cafe scene and Jonathan's feelings show that improving social skills and building better relationships are vital. We all can learn, grow, and make those first steps toward being part of the social world around us. Jonathan stared into his coffee, feeling lost in the busy cafe. The laughter and chatter around him felt like a wall that separated him from everyone else. He had come here hoping to enjoy the evening, but instead he felt nervous and alone. Confident voices surrounded him, and all he could do was listen. In his mind, he thought of how he wished to join in but couldn't find the right words. Social gatherings always seemed like a challenge for him, no matter where or when they happened. It wasn't that he did not want to talk to people. He simply found it hard to start conversations. As Jonathan watched people greet each other with excited hugs, he remembered school days filled with similar feelings. He often felt like an outsider. Back then, he spent hours thinking about what to say, worrying it wouldn't sound good or funny. Due to this fear, he chose to keep quiet. Even in school, Jonathan missed many chances to connect with classmates, missing out on forming friendships. This thought made him feel heavy inside and brought back the old memories of loneliness. Why was it so hard for him to just say hello or share a laugh? The cafe experience reminded Jonathan that his struggles were real and ongoing. He couldn't shake the feeling that he always missed opportunities. Sometimes, he told himself that others would not accept him, that they would find his quietness boring. Even when he met new people, fear held him back. He remembered friends encouraging him to join social activities, but every time he thought about going, his nerves took over. It was exhausting to battle against these emotions constantly. Each time he wanted to speak, a voice in his head whispered worries. What if nobody listened? What if he said something silly? This feeling of fear built up inside him and made him want to stay in the safe space of silence and comfort. To escape it, he often scrolled through his phone when he felt uncomfortable. While it brought him temporary relief, it also kept him from connecting with others. He knew he wanted to change, yet he felt trapped in this cycle. Looking around the cafe, Jonathan also noticed other people who seemed happy. They laughed, shared stories, and built connections. Seeing them sparked a small flame of hope in his heart. Deep down, Jonathan believed he could change. It was as if a voice within said, "You can do this, you just need to try." With this hope, Jonathan began dreaming of a time when he could walk into a room and feel at ease. He imagined himself chatting with new friends, exchanging ideas, and feeling accepted. Even in his struggle, elements of positivity crept in. He noticed that when he took small steps, things changed slightly. For instance, once, at a gathering, Jonathan managed to smile at someone and exchange a few polite words. Felt good, even if just a little bit. That quiet success fueled his desire to do better. He wanted to keep building on these moments, repeating small steps toward overcoming his barriers. Keeping this thought in his heart, Jonathan began to understand that every big journey starts with just one step. The road to improved social skills lay ahead, full of possibilities and growing confidence. One sunny afternoon, Jonathan decided to join a local club that focused on learning new skills. He was excited but nervous. It seemed like a chance to meet new people and practice his social skills. As he walked into the room filled with strangers, his heart raced. He saw groups of people, each laughing and working together on projects. Deep down, he hoped he would fit in and make friends. At first, everything felt overwhelming. Jonathan stood near the door, trying to gather his thoughts. He wanted to approach a group of adults sharing funny stories, but his legs froze. Would they even notice him if he walked over? Taking a deep breath, he pushed himself to take those first steps. Yet, as he approached the laughing group, words clung to his tongue. Instead of speaking, he ended up standing there awkwardly, hoping someone would look his way. Then, the moment he feared most happened. One of the people in the group turned and looked at him. Jonathan felt his face turn hot. Instead of feeling welcomed, he felt judged. He did not know what to say, so he just smiled weakly. The group turned back to their conversation, leaving him feeling neglected. It was in that moment that the familiar feeling of being an outsider returned. Doubt surged within him. He could not shake thoughts of being boring or not fitting in among them. After the first session, Jonathan tried to engage with different activities, thinking maybe a new hobby could help him connect. He signed up for a cooking class, excited about learning and meeting others. During the class, he found himself working with a partner. At first, the cooking seemed fun, but as they began, his partner asked him a question about chopping vegetables. Jonathan hesitated. He fumbled with the knife, and the moment felt tense. When he replied, his voice shook a little. The partner smiled politely, but Jonathan felt shame wash over him. He couldn't help but feel that he offered nothing special to the conversation. Those feelings amplified when he noticed other people drawing close and chatting effortlessly. The relaxed dialogue about ingredients and recipes flowed naturally among them. Jonathan struggled to join in, drowning in those same old fears. These moments showed him how far he had to go. With each attempt to connect, the very anxiety he sought to overcome resurfaced and pulled him back. The world that once seemed full of opportunity felt overshadowed by failure, and every setback felt harder than the last. It grew harder for Jonathan to want to keep trying. He began feeling as if he would never truly belong anywhere. As thoughts swirled in his mind, he even considered giving up this whole journey. Yet, that little spark of hope from earlier refused to die. Though he faced moments of failure, he also held on to small victories. He remembered the brief times he managed to smile and engage. The contrast between his desires and his struggles weighed heavily on his spirit. Would he ever feel the comfort of connection? Would he ever break through these obstacles? This tension built within him as the challenges continued to rise. More than ever, he understood how difficult social situations could be. Even so, the chance to change his story lingered at the back of his mind, waiting for him to take one more step forward. One evening, after another tough day at the club, Jonathan sat alone in his small apartment. His heart was heavy, and his mind swirled with negative thoughts. Each failed attempt at joining in with others played over and over in his head. The warm laughter and easy conversations felt miles away, and he was tired of feeling sad and alone. felt too hard to keep trying. Frustration bubbled up inside him and brought tears to his eyes. But as he sat there, a small voice within whispered a challenge. Maybe it was time to stop only dreaming about making friends and actually start changing. His phone rang, interrupting his spiraling thoughts. It was Sam, a friend from college who had always been supportive. When Jonathan picked up, Sam asked how things were going at the club. They talked about cooking classes, but soon the talk turned serious. "How are you really feeling?" Sam asked gently. Jonathan hesitated but then poured out his feelings of loneliness and fear. "I'm just not good at making friends. I try and fail," he confessed, feeling the weight of each word. Felt good to share. Sam listened quietly and then gave him some advice. "You know, Jonathan, everyone feels awkward sometimes. It's okay to fumble a bit when talking to people. You don't have to be perfect to connect with others." This struck Jonathan deeply. He realized that trying to be perfect had only made things harder. Maybe it was okay to be himself, even if that meant being a little unsure at times. Sam went on. "Why don't you focus on what you enjoy at the club? Think about how you can share that excitement with others." This thought lit a spark in Jonathan. Instead of letting fear control him, maybe he could focus on his love for cooking. As they spoke, Jonathan felt a wave of determination wash over him. In that moment, he knew he had to change. Each failed conversation didn't have to define him. Sam's encouraging words shifted something in his mind. Maybe he could take it one step at a time and find kindness within himself instead of judgment. After the call ended, Jonathan took a deep breath and reflected on what he could do next. A vision of himself cooking in the club's kitchen swirled in front of his eyes. He could see himself laughing and sharing recipes with others, creating joy not just for himself but for the people around him. This inspired a sense of hope within him. He realized he had a choice. He could choose to stay stuck in doubt, or he could try to connect with others by sharing his passions. With a newfound sense of resolve, Jonathan promised himself he wouldn't just wait for opportunities anymore. He needed to be proactive, to engage despite his fears. There would be nervous moments, just as there would be joys. But unearthing the strength to embrace this journey was vital. Self-acceptance blossomed in Jonathan's heart as he accepted that making mistakes would not only be okay, but it would also be part of his growth. This turning point welcomed a wave of possibility, steering him with hope toward building better connections. With this fresh outlook, Jonathan felt ready to give it another shot. It was time to step out of his comfort zone and allow his passion for cooking to open doors for new friendships. The commitment he felt at that moment ignited his spirit, setting the stage for the transformation he hoped to experience. Change was not a distant dream anymore. It was just around the corner, waiting for him to embrace it. With a heart full of determination, Jonathan prepared for the next cooking class with a new mindset. He walked into the community kitchen the following week with the goal to connect with people. No longer would he let fear hold him back. Instead of hiding in the corner, he chose to engage. As he stepped inside, the familiar sight of people milling about greeted him. This time, he felt a spark of excitement rather than anxiety. Feeling a little nervous, Jonathan got to work on his station. He noticed a few people laughing near the ingredients table. Taking a deep breath, he approached them. "Hi, are you guys making pesto?" he asked, smiling genuinely. The group turned to him in surprise. "Yes," one of them replied, grinning. "Do you like it?" Jonathan felt relieved and excited. This small question made him feel part of the conversation. They shared quick tips about pasta, and Jonathan offered his favorite recipe. For the first time, he felt like he belonged. After a few minutes, he moved to his cooking station, allowing himself a little moment of success. He still felt a bit shy, but he realized that making small connections felt wonderful. This small talk warmed his heart. Next, he decided to practice active listening. As people worked together, he focused on what they said. He nodded and responded with follow-up questions about their favorite dishes. Engaging with them gave Jonathan more confidence. When it was time for a break, Jonathan found an open spot to sit, hoping someone would join him. Moments later, a woman named Lily approached. "Mind if I sit?" she asked with a bright smile. This was it, his chance to practice even more. "Sure," he replied, his voice steady. As they chatted, Jonathan remembered to maintain eye contact and listened carefully to what she shared. They discussed cooking hopes and dreams. Lily mentioned wanting to bake a wedding cake for her best friend, and Jonathan could feel her excitement. "Wow, that's amazing. I hope I can try something like that someday," he said genuinely. Jonathan felt proud of himself for sharing his thoughts. Speaking up felt good. The smile on Lily's face made his heart race with joy. Where he once felt like a burden in groups, he now felt that he could add to the conversation. After the break, they began cooking again. This time, Jonathan felt even more brave. He cracked a joke about how he always burned toast, and Lily laughed heartily. Their laughter drew others nearby, and soon they were all sharing cooking fails. The friendly atmosphere wrapped around Jonathan like a warm blanket. Slowly, he could see how laughter bridged connections. His small talks were building friendships, and this encouraged him even further. By the end of the class, Jonathan felt lighter and happier. He had tried to connect with people, and it worked. This shift in attitude did not happen overnight, but with the intention to change, small actions made a huge difference in how he felt. Each conversation was a step, and Jonathan realized that social skills weren't just about confidence. They were about stepping out, being himself, and sharing in the joy with others. This newfound belief set the stage for what was possible ahead. Feeling proud, he saw how little actions compounded to create something beautiful. He had begun to build social connections, one small moment at a time. From this point onward, he was ready to continue embracing opportunities, believing that at last he could share his true self with the world. Falling action. After the cooking class, Jonathan felt a wave of excitement and confidence swell inside him. He remembered every laugh shared with Lily and the others. It was a great feeling to connect with people over cooking. Determined to keep growing, Jonathan took every opportunity to practice his new social skills. Each interaction became a chance to learn. He felt momentary nerves before speaking, but they no longer held him back as before. Instead, he felt empowered to express himself. At work, Jonathan decided to apply what he had learned. In the break room, he saw a colleague, Hannah, standing alone. Remembering the joy he felt from small talk, he walked over. "Hi, Hannah. How was your weekend?" he asked, keeping his tone light. To his delight, she smiled and began to share stories about her hiking adventures. Jonathan listened eagerly, chiming in when he could. He found joy in maintaining eye contact and showing interest, which made their conversation easier and more comfortable. After their chat, Jonathan felt a warm sense of accomplishment. Each step felt intentional, and each conversation brought him one step closer to being himself. It was amazing to see how practicing social skills connected him more comfortably with people. He recognized a gradual improvement in his ability to converse naturally, which uplifted his spirit and strengthened his desire for further growth. Every laugh, every smile shared, and every kind word rekindled his self-belief. On weekends, Jonathan started to explore new social settings, hoping to create more connections. He attended community events and tried different activities. At a local art fair, he struck up a conversation with a vendor about his paintings. "Your colors are so bright. What inspires you?" he asked genuinely. With those simple words, he opened a door to a friendly discussion about creativity. The artist was thrilled to share, and Jonathan realized he was building not just social skills but genuine connections. Feeling himself in action like this was never something he thought possible. Throughout these experiences, Jonathan began to reflect on his progress. He worried less about making mistakes. Every small attempt became a victory to celebrate. Conversations flowed easier, and he felt free to be himself. Rather than pushing to impress others, he listened with curiosity and shared laughter. He noted the joy blooming in these interactions. Colleagues, friends, and even strangers became less intimidating, feeling at home in their company. Jonathan was amazed at how quickly authenticity replaced anxiety. As he grew more comfortable, he realized that each connection was an important piece of his developing story. He had the power to create meaningful moments by opening his heart and showing kindness. Reflecting on his journey reminded him of the importance of persistence through fear. Each choice led him to this new life. Practicing social skills had transformed him from feeling alone to becoming part of something more significant. Moving forward, Jonathan held onto his newfound confidence. He was no longer merely a bystander but a participant in his life story. Socializing felt authentic and lovable. With every small step, the world opened up, and he was no longer afraid. Instead, he embodied the joy of building relationships and sharing his experiences without fear of judgment. Change was here, and his heart buzzed with excitement for every new, enriching moment to come. As Jonathan continued to grow in confidence, he noticed changes not just in his social skills but also in how he viewed himself and his environment. With a strong mindset, he began to realize that certain behaviors at work were unhealthy for him. His boss, Tom, often criticized his ideas harshly, and this negativity began affecting his enthusiasm. The encouragement and warmth Jonathan felt during his recent social interactions made him think differently. He didn't want to let anyone treat him poorly. One afternoon, as he sat in a team meeting, Tom dismissed Jonathan's ideas once again with a sharp tone. "This plan makes no sense, Jonathan. We can do much better," Tom said, his voice cold. In that moment, Jonathan felt the familiar surge of doubt try to creep in, but instead of backing down, he took a deep breath. He remembered all that he had learned about speaking up. With newfound strength, he replied firmly, "I believe my idea has value. We can discuss it further, and I am open to feedback." The change in Jonathan surprised many in the room, including Tom. His co-workers exchanged glances, unsure of what to say. Some leaned in closer, as if hoping to hear more. Jonathan felt the tension in the air, but he stood his ground. No longer willing to accept negativity, he sought validation, not just for himself but for his ideas and contributions. Tom's expression shifted from surprise to frustration. He was not used to seeing Jonathan challenge him. "Well, if you think so, then I guess we can spend more time on it," he replied with a hint of annoyance. The comment struck Jonathan like a cold wind, but he felt proud to have spoken up. He was drawing a line for the kind of treatment he would accept. It was a big step to assert himself. The atmosphere in the team changed, too. Some colleagues whispered support to him after the meeting. "Great job, Jonathan. You expressed your ideas well." "That took courage," said Sarah, a teammate who had often observed Tom's harsh ways but had never spoken out herself. Hearing this encouragement felt like a warm affirmation for the new path he was carving. With tiny but steady steps, Jonathan was gaining strength, not just for himself but also for others who may have felt silenced in the past. However, not every response was supportive. Some co-workers seemed uneasy, not accustomed to seeing Jonathan push against Tom. A few expressed discomfort, as they believed it was best to keep quiet in the face of authority. "You should be careful, Jonathan. Tom doesn't like challenges," one of them warned. But instead of retreating, Jonathan felt a resolve to continue making his voice heard. From then onwards, Jonathan took further actions. He began surrounding himself with supportive colleagues who believed in teamwork and kindness. They uplifted each other during stressful moments, forming connections based on respect rather than fear. Each step reaffirmed what Jonathan knew. He deserved an environment that energized and inspired him, one where communication was clear and collaboration was valued. In this process, he also recognized that setting boundaries was vital not just for himself but also for the smooth functioning of the workplace. Others began noticing the atmosphere changing for the better. When Jonathan reported Tom's behavior to the HR department, it was met with understanding and a commitment to address the issue. They assured him that it was crucial to maintain a supportive workplace environment. Gradually, changes began to ripple across the office. Every conversation, every stance he took influenced not only his growth but also posed vital opportunities for others to reflect. Almost instinctively, this renewed energy called upon his coworkers to find their own voices and follow the example he set. The journey Jonathan had embarked upon became a beacon of hope, conveying a strong message. It was possible to take charge of one's reality and create healthier relationships. One step, one conversation, and one boundary at a time. The weeks that followed Jonathan's decision to stand up for himself shifted the atmosphere at work significantly. Slowly but surely, a sense of respect began to fill the office. With each passing day, Jonathan felt more empowered. He focused on building bonds with supportive colleagues, creating an uplifting circle around him. This environment allowed ideas to flow freely, sparking so many shared laughs and inspirations. The more he embraced his voice, the more he noticed a positive change in himself. One afternoon, while presenting an important project to the team, Jonathan felt the weight of his hard work and courage meet its peak. He had poured time into crafting ideas that could help the company. When he stepped up to present, he took a deep breath, remembering all the steps he had taken to get there. The room was filled with his supportive friends and a mix of colleagues, including Tom, whose habits had started to shift. In many ways, Tom's presence had become less dominating, giving space for Jonathan to shine. Throughout his presentation, Jonathan spoke clearly and passionately about his ideas. He made eye contact, smiled, and noticed nods of support from his coworkers. This was the moment he had waited for, the chance to showcase his strengths without hesitation. As he concluded, his colleagues erupted into applause. Their positivity made his heart swell. Each clap felt like a tiny cheer, confirming that he was ready to take on challenges confidently. Buoyed by this experience, Jonathan took a moment to reflect on how his journey of small but meaningful actions created a ripple of change. This achievement reinforced his commitment to maintain those boundaries and foster positive relationships moving forward. His heart filled with gratitude to his coworkers who believed in him. They had played a crucial role in this shift, uplifting him when he needed it most. Jonathan encouraged himself to keep taking those steps by being proactive. He made a note to check in with his colleagues and celebrate their successes, too. Building each other up seemed more rewarding than just focusing on personal wins. In sharing encouragement, everyone felt empowered. To all who found themselves in Jonathan's shoes, the same steps lay before them. Speak up when something feels wrong. Surround yourself with those who believe in you. These simple actions create strength in sharing thoughts and ideas together. Find ways to be proactive every day, whether it means joining a discussion or standing up for one another. Take small but sincere steps, and confidence will grow over time. As Jonathan moved forward with vigor and a heart on fire, he learned that victories don't always come as big moments. Sometimes they come in small gestures that build a solid foundation of support. What mattered now was that he had discovered the strength within himself. Every challenge, every small win pushed him closer to the connections he had always wanted. He felt grateful for this transformational journey and was excited about the opportunities yet to come. More importantly, Jonathan realized that moving ahead together, supporting one another, was the key to creating a more positive world for everyone. And so, he continued on his path, ready to embrace each new moment. Resolution. As the months passed, Jonathan's life transformed into a vibrant tapestry of connections and confidence. He felt proud of the progress he had made. No longer did he shy away from social situations. Instead, he embraced them with open arms. His experiences had shown him the beauty of building relationships. Every day was a chance to practice the skills he had worked so hard to develop, and now they felt natural and fulfilling. At work, the atmosphere shifted even further. Jonathan noticed that his interactions with colleagues were becoming richer. He engaged in conversations more easily and offered his thoughts without hesitation. His coworkers recognized his growth, and many expressed admiration for his newfound courage. "You have really changed, Jonathan. It is great to see you so open and confident," said Sarah one afternoon, reinforcing the positive bonds they had formed. Her words warmed his heart and confirmed that his effort was worth it. Beyond the office, Jonathan started to venture into his personal life with renewed zeal. He joined community events and met new people who shared his interests. At a local book club, he shared his thoughts openly, connecting with others who loved the same stories. As they discussed their favorite characters and themes, Jonathan felt a glow of belonging. This sense of connection was something he had longed for, and now it was becoming a reality. Jonathan's friendships deepened as he made time to connect with those important to him. Regular gatherings with friends, laughter-filled dinners, and spontaneous outings enriched his life. He no longer felt like an outsider. Rather, he had become a part of a vibrant community that respected and valued him. With each shared experience, he realized that social skills were the threads that stitched these connections together. They were his gateway to deeper, more meaningful relationships. Furthermore, Jonathan discovered the joy of giving back. Understanding the challenges of social anxiety, he began volunteering at local support programs. He shared his story with those facing similar battles, hoping to inspire them on their journeys. His heart swelled with purpose as he listened to others share their struggles, knowing he could offer encouragement from his own experiences. Helping others reinforced the importance of connection, a cause he felt passionately about. Reflecting on his journey, Jonathan felt great pride. The worries that once clouded his mind faded into insignificance. What stood out now was his value as an individual and how far he had come. No challenge seemed too great, and every new interaction presented an opportunity to grow further. His rise from uncertainty to empowerment was a testament to his determination. For anyone on a similar path, Jonathan's story aims to inspire. Each step towards improvement counts, no matter how small it may feel. Embrace the uncomfortable moments. Speak openly. Connect with others. Set boundaries. Every action leads you closer to the life you want to create. As Jonathan stepped into the future, he understood that friendships were all around him, waiting to be built. He felt fulfilled, knowing he had the power to change his narrative. In choosing to face fears and develop social skills, he had built not only connections but a heart filled with hope and adventure. In this new chapter, filled with promise, Jonathan was excited to continue exploring the world and all the beautiful relationships within it. As Jonathan looked ahead, he felt a wave of excitement for what the future held. The challenges he had overcome provided him with a foundation of strength that he never thought possible. He often reflected on how speaking up for himself had reshaped his life. Now his journey was filled with hope rather than fear. He knew he had the skills and courage to face whatever came next. With renewed confidence, Jonathan decided to take a bold step. He began exploring opportunities to advance in his career. He updated his resume and practiced his interview skills, eager to find a job that suited his passions. The thought of starting something new filled him with a sense of joy. He saw it as an opportunity to bring his new skills into a fresh environment where he could continue to grow. This enthusiasm translated into action, and soon he applied for positions that aligned with his interests. One day, Jonathan found a job listing that caught his eye, a position at a nonprofit organization focused on supporting community connections. He envisioned a meaningful role where he could combine his skills in social interactions with his passion for helping others. When he submitted his application, he felt hopeful yet grounded. No matter the outcome, he had come far, and that alone was a win. Throughout the interview process, he drew upon the skills he had worked so hard to develop. Each question he answered felt more like a conversation rather than an examination. He actively listened and shared his ideas, letting his personality shine. The experience was empowering. Each step proved that he was ready for greater challenges. At the same time, Jonathan continued to nurture his relationships. He made a point to meet with friends regularly, creating spaces for support and laughter. Gatherings became frequent as they celebrated each other's successes and shared advice. Jonathan noticed how these moments strengthened his connections. With each gathering came reminders of the importance of belonging and community, a highlight of his journey that he would always cherish. Days turned into weeks, and soon Jonathan received the call he had been eagerly waiting for. The nonprofit wanted to hire him. Joy bubbled up inside him as he accepted the offer. This new chapter filled him with enthusiasm and purpose. He envisioned himself working alongside individuals who were just as passionate about building connections as he was. Looking into the future, Jonathan felt optimistic. He now understood that navigating challenges was part of life's journey. No longer did he fear the social situations that had once made him feel alone. Instead, he embraced them, knowing that each interaction was a chance for growth and understanding. With that new job on the horizon, Jonathan closed this chapter of his life with a sense of accomplishment. The lessons he had learned during his struggles were now invaluable tools for the path ahead. He recognized the power within himself to adapt and thrive. For anyone facing moments of uncertainty, Jonathan's story serves as a shining reminder. Embrace challenges as stepping stones. Speak up for yourself, surround yourself with positive influences, and dare to chase your passions. You have the strength to create meaningful relationships and find fulfillment in connections. Remember that every small step can lead to a life filled with love, purpose, and adventure. As Jonathan embarked on this exciting new phase, he did so with an open heart and a mind ready for growth. The journey continued, and he was eager to see all the connections still waiting to be made along the way.